nobody expected it. Cameras were rolling, lights were blinding, and Xiao Zhan was smiling like nothing was wrong. But within seconds, that smile faded. His knees suddenly weakened, his breathing shifted, and before anyone could react, Xiao Zhan collapsed to the ground right in front of his shocked colleagues. The entire filming crew froze. No one spoke. No one moved. It was as if the world had fallen silent for a second too long. Then chaos exploded. Staff rushed toward him, calling his name repeatedly. His co-stars panicked, trying to lift him up gently, worried that they might hurt him more. His assistant grabbed his hand, trying to wake him. Xiao Zhan's eyelids moved slightly, but he couldn't respond. Nobody knew if it was exhaustion, pressure, or something far more frightening. They immediately called for emergency medical support, and in less than 5 minutes, he was lifted into a vehicle and rushed straight to the hospital. The world outside had no idea what was happening, yet inside that van, silence was louder than fear itself. As the vehicle sped through the city streets, Xiao Zhan slowly regained consciousness, but he looked disoriented. His hand shook weakly as he tried to remove his microphone still attached to his clothes. The medical staff told everyone to give him space. He whispered something that broke the hearts of everyone who heard it. "I'm sorry. I just need a minute." Sorry? Why was he apologizing? Even when he was weak, even when his body was clearly overworked, he still felt responsible, as if collapsing was his fault. By the time they reached the hospital, fan rumors were already spreading online. Even though the team tried to keep things quiet, someone close to the set leaked that something serious happened. Some fans refused to believe it. Others started crying on livestream, praying that their favorite actor was okay. Photos of the ambulance began trending as people asked the same question: did Xiao Zhan collapse from stress? The room was silent except for the steady beep of a monitor attached to Xiao Zhan's wrist. The doctor had warned everyone not to crowd him, but seeing him unconscious, pale, and covered in cold sweat, no one wanted to leave. His co-stars waited outside the glass door, some still in costume, no longer caring about appearance or cameras. The director paced back and forth, replaying the moment in his head when Xiao Zhan suddenly dropped to the ground during the scene. Filming had been intense, but no one expected him to push himself to the point where his body shut down. Many thought he just slipped or got dizzy for a moment. But the truth was far from simple. One of the younger cast members quietly muttered that Xiao Zhan hadn't been eating properly for days, and he had been working non-stop, trying to perfect every scene, refusing breaks, ignoring fatigue, and smiling through pain so fans wouldn't worry. The doctor finally stepped out with a sigh that made everyone freeze. He revealed that Xiao Zhan was suffering from extreme exhaustion, lack of nutrients, and severe stress. In simple terms, his body gave up to protect him from bigger damage. Some of the staff whispered in guilt because they had seen the warning signs: his trembling hands, the subtle dizziness, the soft complaint about chest tightness, yet they ignored it because filming had a deadline. The doctor said Xiao Zhan needed rest, real rest, not a few hours between work calls, not sleep in a makeup chair. He needed to disconnect from pressure, avoid stress, and take time for himself. The most shocking moment came when Xiao Zhan finally opened his eyes and whispered something that left everyone stunned. He said he didn't collapse because he was weak, but because he felt he was fighting alone. Those words hit everyone like a punch. It wasn't just physical pain, it was emotional exhaustion. He had been strong for the world, for his fans, for his work, but no one stood strong for him. The door opened slowly, and everyone lifted their heads, expecting a manager or another staff member, but the hospital corridor froze when a familiar figure walked in. It was someone Xiao Zhan had not seen in months, someone fans had been begging to know if he still kept in touch with. It was Wang Yibo, walking in quietly with a mask and cap, his eyes filled with something deeper than shock. He didn't say a word. He didn't greet anyone. He didn't even look at the stunned staff. He only pushed open Xiao Zhan's room door as if nothing else existed. The moment he stepped inside, his eyes softened. Xiao Zhan lay unconscious again, still fragile, still fighting. Wang Yibo walked closer and pulled out something from his pocket, a bracelet Xiao Zhan once gifted him, something he hadn't worn publicly for a long time due to rumors and fan wars. He set it carefully next to Xiao Zhan's hand, and for a second, his fingers shook. The nurses and staff outside could see the scene through the glass. Wang Yibo wasn't acting, wasn't performing, he was just worried. Deeply worried. He gently touched Xiao Zhan's wrist, the same wrist shaking during filming just hours before. The guilt on Wang Yibo's face wasn't something he tried to hide. He whispered something softly, but no one except Xiao Zhan could hear it. Minutes passed, and the silence was heavy, almost painful. And then something unexpected happened. Xiao Zhan's fingers moved slowly, brushing the bracelet. His eyes opened, confused at first, but when he saw the person standing over him, his expression changed. He looked shocked, then emotional, then strangely relieved, as if he finally found the strength he was missing. Wang Yibo didn't smile, but the look in his eyes said everything. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't loud, but it was real. Xiao Zhan tried to talk, but his voice cracked, so Wang Yibo simply nodded and sat beside him, not saying a single extra word. And that silent support was louder than any speech. The murmurs outside the hospital door grew louder, and even Wang Yibo looked up for the first time since sitting beside Xiao Zhan. Heavy footsteps echoed down the hallway, followed by voices struggling to keep cameras and reporters away. And then the door opened again. The room tensed instantly because the person who entered wasn't a manager, wasn't a friend from the cast, and wasn't a doctor. It was Xiao Zhan's mother. She rushed forward with trembling hands, tears already streaming down her face before she even reached her son's bed. Her cries were soft, controlled, but her eyes told a different story: fear, pain, and exhaustion. Seeing him unconscious again shattered her. She didn't care who was in the room. She didn't notice the cameras outside. She didn't even realize Wang Yibo was sitting there until her hand brushed against his shoulder while she leaned over her son. Only then did she look at him, shocked, because she never expected him to be there. For a second, she stared, confused, remembering all the noise, all the controversies, all the online battles and misunderstandings that had dragged both their families into storms they never asked for. But she saw no cameras in his hands, no fake concern, no hesitation. She saw sincerity. Real worry. Slowly, she bowed her head in gratitude, silently thanking him, and Yibo respectfully stood up and returned the gesture, not daring to speak. The room felt heavier, but warmer too, as if the cold tension that had been surrounding Xiao Zhan had finally started melting away. But just when things seemed calm, Xiao Zhan's monitor beeped faster, his breathing uneven again. His mother panicked, holding his hand tightly, calling his name. Doctors rushed in, pushing everyone back, including Wang Yibo, who stood frozen, watching helplessly as they checked his vitals, injected medicine, and placed a mask over his face. The room became chaos. Nurses moved quickly, voices urgent. His mother cried harder, clutching his arm. And now the world finally knows, behind the bright lights, fame, applause, and the perfect smiles, there's a human being fighting battles we never see. Xiao Zhan's collapse wasn't just a medical emergency, it was a warning, a cry for rest, a reminder that even our heroes can break. So tell me, how will the industry respond now that the truth is out? Will they protect him? Will they let him recover? Or will they push him harder like nothing happened? What happens next could change everything, not just for Xiao Zhan, but for every celebrity forced to suffer in silence. If you want this story to unfold and the truth to be told, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on your notifications, because the next chapter will reveal what really caused his breakdown. Stay tuned, the truth is just beginning.